What up, everyone?
Happy Hump Day. Hey, we got a guy on today who's been trying to help me for a while, believe it or not. Hey, that's a true story. And before you unmute him, I'm just gonna get it out of there. But we got a super cool guy. I'll be honest, he's been reaching out to me a ton, just really screaming to be on this podcast. And we've been busy, guys. And just had other stuff going on, but we finally he slipped through the crack, man. He threw a couple buddies' names out there and dropped them in there, and we decided to have him on. But before we even get started, the honest answer, right, is we've been following this guy for a while. He's a fellow Marine Corps officer, comedian, vet TV, but just a super laid back guy who's just so motivated of helping veterans and the different stuff he has, and being able to talk to us, and when we've reached out, having him on, it was phenomenal. Pretty good looking dude, gets a little crazy. So if you're in your 30s and you're single, he's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to you. That'll be a great time. So we're gonna introduce him, and we got some fun questions.
And real quick before that, for those just tuning in, welcome to the Day $1 Zero podcast. We are super excited to have this guy on. And if you are watching this right now and you're a veteran supporter and you happen to know this guy, maybe give this video a share, tag a buddy who could get some value from this. You're definitely not going to want to miss out on what this dude has to say.
I feel like I got to figure like a way to say his name. You know what I mean? Like fighting out of the red corner.
Oh,
you know,
perfect. It's perfect. It's like Conor McGregor.
Yeah. But here's the deal. Here's the fucking deal. Donny O'Malley is on the show today. Fucking awesome guy. A lot of layers to him, a lot of cool stuff, and keeping it traditional on Day $1 Zero. We're going to have a great time with it, but he's also open to speaking and just about business and how he's approached everything and just really where he's gone, in his path since he's gotten out. But Donny, what's up, my man?
What the fuck is up, man?
Oh, man, you sound like you've listened to our podcast before.
I mean, I've been listening to it for a long time now. Yeah, fucking pumped.
Oh man, well thanks for being on, man. We're gonna have a good time today and kind of open it up and let it take you where it goes. But we had a question, and maybe we just go right out of the gate on this, Donny, because we had a question from a buddy of mine who was like, "Hey, you know this guy?" And I was like, "I mean, I don't know him. Like I'm getting to know him, and whatnot." He goes, "Hey, I serve with that dude. You ask him the story behind Grim Reaper Actual." and the guy that's asking that question, he's probably going to be on for like 30 seconds because he's got better shit to do. So why don't we kind of give some context to that, man, and have some fun out of the gate, and then we'll kind of reverse it and go from the beginning.
So going back to what we were talking about before, bloodlust. When I was in Afghanistan, I was the fire support team leader for my company. And I always wanted to be a rifle platoon commander in combat, but this job was really fucking cool because I was employed conventionally a lot. You know, I had my little team, and we'd roll out on foot, helicopter, truck, and our job was to drop bombs. And so we were pretty decent at it. And I give all the credit to our JTAC, Anthony DeFlito. But I just loved killing. Like the thought of taking life. It made me more happy than any other thought I'd had.
And it's such a great segue. So I want to kind of go back to like my beginning with Donny and where I first saw him. Let's kind of get into that video if you're cool with it, and just kind of give the cliff notes. But what I really enjoyed about Donny was during I think you released that video that we're going to talk about here in a second, right around the Marine Corps birthday. And the way that video started, you were talking about like some girl you were dating, and you were saying some shit to her, and she just thought you were bananas. And I resonated with that, but in addition to it, after that video, I start following you, I start watching your stuff, but I'm seeing the comedian side come out, and the lighthearted, and just making veterans laugh, and just making veterans just be comfortable in their skin, and being okay to accept who they are, but also just being okay to just move forward and transition into something. And I thought the layers behind an individual to be able to manage both and just be honest with both, I thought was incredible. And I think that's what drew me to you, man, and why I've been following you for a couple of years. And just speaking from just Marine Corps background and then just veterans in general, I think that's why a lot of veterans, respect you is bottom line on this podcast or anything else that you've done. Not everybody's going to like, what you have to say. But guys that can relate to you are going to respect the fact that you're able to speak up and be honest about it and maybe not take it too far, but then also be able to have some laughs and enjoy the stuff that we talk about, like all the smoking and joking stuff, man. I remember when I was at division schools, just all the stories that would pop up, man. Those are the stories that are popping up 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, and the things that you miss. And what a great way to just have a platform, like, and we're going to get into Vet TV again today too, right, about your business side. But how cool is it to just have that to where we have a place where we can go have those laughs, man. And even after the Marine Corps and doing some government work and then police work, there's a lot of humor within first responders, and some of it's dark humor, but just being able, it's almost like a coping mechanism. But to watch you have an honest perspective from this side, but then be able to go over here and just manage that lighthearted comedian side and really bring out stories in everyone. It's been incredible how you've brought so many people around. And then here's what was most attractive. No one's too small. Because honestly, like, now that nobody's listening because we've been on for 5 minutes, I'll tell the truth. I reached out to Donny and I said, what the fuck's up, dude? Hey, listen, people are sitting on their hands right now and kind of tied down, and we've got a podcast, and here's some of our accomplishments and what we're doing. And hey, we'd love to have you on, not only your comedian side, but just the business side, and really kind of hone in on how you've grown. And I get this video from you on Instagram, and it says video message. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, is this dude making fun of me? Did he just like show me to all his like buddies like kissing his ass or what? What's the deal? And then he's got so he shows this video. And I open it. I'm like, fuck. He opens it. Or I open it. His shirt's off. He's like putting his hand through his hair, and he's like, yeah, bro, let's fucking do it. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. And I'm like, this dude is like lit, or he's working out and he's just like out of breath, or he's like, I don't know, man, he's Val Kilmer with his hair and he's got to show me his hair. Like, what's going on? At that point, none of that matters, because I'm like, wait, let me play that again. And you can only play it like twice before it deletes, right? So I'm like, wait. So I fucking play it again. You're like, yeah, bro, let's fucking do it. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like in my house, like, hey, fuck yeah, you know. But it was cool because it felt like you're not too big, or you're not too, you know, whatever, caught up in the Kool-Aid or whatever it is, to just be passionate about helping veterans and just getting on and just doing some stuff. And obviously you've got a huge following. You're doing big things, and just you even being on our podcast, it helps us a ton, right? And for you to just be so open to it, and obviously we had to coordinate, but how cool was that, right? Super cool. But if you, yep, go ahead.
I was just saying, I enjoy it, man. I'm, you know, that which makes me happy is people. Yeah. So when you know, when I reached out and I saw your stuff, I'm like, this looks like a cool person. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I was high. And I was probably standing on a Bosu ball or Indo board, like some stability exercise. And yeah, I love this stuff. I love this. The stuff that makes me the most happy is when I'm in a room with a couple close friends, like less than 10, and we're just shooting the shit, telling stories, having a good time. That is my happy place.
And so, I can tell, man, it bleeds through, because then I end up like, I'm such a little bitch, right? Because then I Instagram call you that day. I'm like, yeah, bro, let's talk. Fuck it. And then he sends me, and then like, I think right before that call, he sent me, oh no, you sent me 2 videos. You sent me that first one. Then the second one, he goes, but hey, not like tonight though, right? Like, but we're going to do it. And then I called him and I messaged him like, yeah, dude, just whenever you get time. And then the next day I got a message from you, and you were like, hey man, I haven't forgotten about you. Like, I was like, cool. Not High Donny sent me a voice message. He's in, and it'll be a good time, and just linking up. But dude, it's so fun. I don't know how far, you know. And so my beginning memories of you was that video. And if you don't want to start there on that Marine Corps birthday video, if you want to start prior, but I think it'd be great for the audience of just, if they don't know you, let's explain a little bit of currently who you are right now and what you're involved in. And if you can, right after that, take us back to the beginning of just the thought process. Were you still in country when you started thinking of these ideas to turn into a business, or how far back does it go? And we're just going to kind of let you run with it, man. Okay.
Thanks for all the kind words, by the way. Really, really nice of you. Got me feeling real good here. So at this point, I've been out of the Marine Corps since 2015, medically retired, and I spend probably 70% of my waking hours growing this business.
Vet TV. So if you're just listening on iTunes or Spotify, he's got a hat on that says Vet TV.
And, you know, it's a It's Netflix, but for veterans, or Netflix, but for military. And so we release an episode a week, and it's all scripted television. Actually, we have our first non-scripted show coming out soon. And it is, I live the life of a professional artist. And all day, every day, I am in meetings, collaborative meetings, making our scripts better with our 7 writers. We have 17 employees full-time, and we have employed on an individual independent contractor basis, I think over 1,500 people.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, very proud of that. I take immense pride in creating opportunities for Americans. But most especially me being a lifelong child and a professional artist, I like creating opportunities for other people to live their dreams. That's, it's one thing to give someone a job. I think that's an amazing thing that any American gets to do here. But to give them the opportunity to be paid to do that which they love, it is a different kind of life. To do what you love for a paycheck, and I love that our business has the opportunity to employ people doing that which they love. It's just a form of life that includes much more joy and really much more dopamine. The chemical dopamine gets pumped into our brains.
That's some good shit, right?
On a very frequent basis. And it's really hard to want to kill yourself with that much dopamine. So it's some good ass shit.
Well, and dude, just from business, right? Like I'm sure, Eli and I, we've got a decent perspective as far as like how we run our real estate company and what we've accomplished. 2 years ago, we were top 1% in the nation. This year, we were top 0.5 in the nation and a ton. And, just having the impact on people, it's been great for us. And I'm sure, man, just with what you're doing at scale, there's so much work and consistency and having to be creative when you don't always want to be creative, or having to dial in and get some editing done when you don't always feel like editing. There's a lot of that in there. So if you're not loving what you do, and if you're not getting those dopamines, I don't think it survives, to be honest with you, man.
It's truth. I mean, that's part of entrepreneurship that I think is pretty universal. Not just entrepreneurship, but really anything that you're trying to be great at. In entrepreneurship, if you're not great, the business dies.
Right, 100%.
Right? What is it, 90-something% of American businesses die in a year or two? You have to be. And in order to be great, you must love some aspect of what you're doing. There are plenty of people who started companies that produce some product that is minute, or maybe it's just transactions, right? But they guaranteed the people who created those businesses who succeed, they love the process. Because entrepreneurship, business is a creative endeavor.
Right.
You're creating ways about doing things that are more profitable and more efficient than your competitors.
And it's yours. And you've got to find a way to be better or be different or be unique. And, just having that niche, and obviously like the veteran community I love. And I said it the other day when I was telling Eli, everything that you're doing currently, and I was explaining, Vet TV, and I'm showing it to him because I'm a subscriber, right? With integrity. I'm a subscriber. 100%. 100%. Hey man, I'm trying to smash, bro. I got to impress you. I'm trying to smash, dude. I'm liking all your Instagram shit. I'm commenting like how ripped you are. And I'm like, I'm a vet member. Like, yeah, bro, I'm laying it all out there, dude. I'm getting it.
You're on the way to hitting it, bro.
I think I'm rounding second base right now. Yeah, man. But it's the same way I described it. I was like, hey, dude, it's kind of like a Netflix, but for veterans. And it's just got a ton of stuff that's relatable and different things. But if you can, man, take us back. Because, I'm just so curious. Like, were you always a funny dude? Were you an officer that, like, other officers got pissed off because you're just funny, or you were almost like too a part of the guys? Or where did the thought of, because I'm guessing it didn't start as Vet TV. We saw some stuff prior to that, but where did this entire just you venturing out of the Marine Corps, did these ideas start in the Marine Corps because you were doing skits or just being funny when you were there? And then as you got out, you started to like wrap a business model around it? Or what did the early stages look like for you, man, business-wise?
So the origin story goes back to when I was 19 years old. And I learned that one of my favorite comedic actors, Adam Sandler, created a production company called Happy Madison Productions. and staffed it with his entire fucking family.
Wow.
And his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm like, wait a second. So they make people laugh for a living, making hilarious movies, and they're a big family. Like, I'm like, what sounds better than that? And I remembered right around that year, I don't remember what prompted me. If it was a book, my father's the most influential person in my life, and he's always been pushing me and challenging me and introducing me to things that are going to get me to think and question what I'm doing and humble the shit out of me. That's why I don't even open his emails anymore, because it's just fucking so it was just like, if you had to work for the rest of your life. There was no getting around it. There was no such thing as winning the lottery, getting rich, whatever. You have to work. And no matter what you do, you're going to make $60,000 a year when you start, and maybe it'll cap out like 80 or 90, okay? You have to work. What profession do you choose? It doesn't matter. You could be a professional basketball player, which I dreamt of at one point, a football player, fucking cop, fireman, Marine, actor, singer, whatever. What would you choose to do with your life? And I'm like, I would create a production company and staff it with my friends and family.
Great answer.
And make people laugh.
And that analogy is kind of like when you put everybody on that even playing field, right? Just like whether you want to be a movie star or an athlete, if you take the money aspect out of it, like, hey, are you aspiring to be a basketball player because you think they make a lot of money, or because you're passionate? So when you've got the ideology of just putting everybody on the same playing field as far as income, what would you chase? It's just like that fair chance to give yourself of like really having a good parameter and like, what do you want to do? But I got to ask you, because you're like 19, you have that thought, and then did like ADD kick in and you went to boot camp or OCS and you're like, kill. And you fucking went that way. Like, because you got that thought, you went from like that to like, hey, I'm going to help my family. And you're like, ooh, Marine Corps, oorah, right? And like, where did you, how old were you when you went to the Marine Corps? What did that look like for you, man, when you decided to make that choice?
Okay. So I also, at a younger age, much younger, said to myself, one day I'm going to be a U.S. Marine. I just have to do that. Because I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? It's 4 years out of 80. Like, that's nothing. And a big part of it was this book I read, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind was one of the habits. And so it said, think about your deathbed. Think about when you're on your deathbed, who do you want there? What do you want those conversations to be like? What do you want people to say to you? And what do you want to say to them? And then your funeral, the eulogy, what do people say about you? And so that ended up guiding a lot of my thought process to this very day. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I don't want to be on my deathbed and wish I had joined the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live with regret, wishing I had done things that I chose not to do. The thought of that pained me so much that I'm like, I cannot live my life that way, and I can't get to the end and have that thought.
Was anyone in your family in the Marines, or like where did that initial thought spark from?
Okay, so my father was a Marine infantry officer in say 78, 79 for 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, growing up, he rarely talked about it. And he never, ever once told us to join. He might have had a couple of Marine Corps pictures like on a desk. That was it. But the few times that I remembered my father talking about it, I could tell that he cherished that experience. Yeah. And so that was it. After that, it was watching war movies. And it was mostly Vietnam. That was the war that fascinated him the most, because he joined right after Vietnam. And all of his instructors, everyone he served with, was in Vietnam. And so he had every single book and movie on Vietnam. And my little fucking psycho ass, I remember watching Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah, great movie.
Hamburger Hill. And I remember
Intense
thinking to
movie.
myself, I got to join the fucking Marines.
Dude, that is so cool. Hey, my dad was the same way. My dad was a Marine in the during Vietnam as well, and never spoke about it. Never recruited me. You know, he spoke about it with his nephew who was a Marine, who who's obviously older than me, and and he just cherished it. And he spoke about it. And I remember when I was 6 years old. My mom worked graveyards and whatnot, and my dad worked days. So my mom was sleeping on the couch, but I'm not old enough to go to school yet. So I'm watching. I put a VHS in, right? And I'm watching Full Metal Jacket, and I remember I'm telling my mom, I'm laughing. I'm like, Mom, they're cutting their hair off, and she's like, Dude, she's sleeping. And to this day, I remember he blows his fucking brains out, and my mom woke up. And she was like, "What are you watching?" That was my first impression of the Marine Corps. And then I remember one time my dad let me put on his camis or something. But yeah, man, he didn't recruit me. I came back from playing a little bit of pro baseball, and I kind of was asking him I was asking him more, and he's like, "What are you doing? Are you joining? What are you doing? What are you asking me stuff for?" And he was always about me playing baseball and just being myself. And I told him, and he's like, "Great, well, go check everybody else out." And I'm like, am I not good enough for the Marine Corps? What are you doing? Other like, look, and I was talking about different benefits, and he's like, look, you got the Marine Corps to be a Marine. I know you're talking college and this and that, and there's some shiny stuff about these other branches. And if that's what you're looking for, you should go talk to them, because then that's what they might be able to provide for you. But the bottom line is, whether the Marine Corps provides that or not, you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine. And my dad protected the culture of the Marine Corps, even to his own son, man. And I remember leaving for he's like, "Hey, fuck you, bro. This is why you go." But I needed that perspective. It helped during boot camp. It helped me excel, in the Marine Corps. And man, I was shaking his hand when I'm getting on that stupid bus going to the airport, and I said, "What do you think?" And whatnot. He shook my hand. He said, "Do it right. That's it. Just do it right." And that still sticks to me to this day. But it's super interesting that your dad was very similar as far as cherish it, but didn't try to oversell it to you or talk to you about it, man. Very, very similar.
Actually, it goes. The story of Pops goes deeper than that, because after the Marine Corps, he got out, did some jobs he didn't enjoy, and then came back into the Navy as a doctor.
Wow.
So he got accepted to medical school. We moved from Queens, after we were in Long Island to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Tar Heels, where he went. We lived on campus while he went to UNC Medical School. And that was an incredible experience. We spent the summers in Camp Lejeune, where he would be stationed in Lejeune each of those 4 summers. My brother and I would be with him, mom usually. And then after those 4 years, he was stationed in San Diego at Balboa. And after 2001, when the wars kicked off, I was at the recruiter's office the next day with my brother and our best friend. And my dad was like, "Guys, listen, if you want war," because my dad, he knew his son. I used to be a very violent person when I was younger. But I was only violent. I felt like I had to teach bullies a lesson. That was,
man. You were violent with a cause. Good shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was previously a very shy and easily intimidated and bullied kid earlier in high school. And then I went the other way, and I was just like, I'm going to beat the fuck out of every bully I come across.
Deadpool.
Yeah. It's a boondock saint, man.
Yeah, you're a fucking boondock saint.
Yeah, I was not anymore. I'm a total fucking pussy now, but for a time I was. And so my dad's like, if war is what you want, these wars are not going anywhere. We're going to be here a long time. So just get your education first. And then he said, I don't think you should enlist. I think you should go officer, but make your choice after you get your education. And I was like, okay. And then finished college. All throughout college, the 3 years after college, I didn't join until 25, to answer your question that you asked way earlier. I had already been an entrepreneur before going into the Marine Corps, because I was just killing time. I had to have surgeries on my shoulders because I lied my fucking ass off to be a Marine. What's the first question I ask you? Do you have asthma?
No.
Yes. Horrible asthma.
But you say no. No, I don't.
No, of course. You have any issues with your shoulders? Yes. I had dislocated each shoulder at least 40 fucking times. And then, do you have any gang-related tattoos? Yes, on my left.
Nice.
Oh shit.
I lied about all the things. I went and got surgeries on my shoulders. When I went to the medical appointment to get seen by the doctor, I couldn't lie about the surgery on the right shoulder because it was done by the Navy under my dad's health care when I was 22, the last year I had TRICARE before I was on my own. Mm-hmm. So then I had to work full time for a year to get full-time health coverage to get a surgery on this shoulder. But they wouldn't take me because at the time they had a long fucking waiting list for officers. And so they wouldn't take me with 2 shoulder surgeries or any issue with this. So I lied about the medical history on here. I went to Naval Hospital. I fucking asked to see my records. I took out all the records that said asthma.
Oh my God.
With my shoulder. Back then, paper, right?
Hey, hold on a minute, because we're complicitors to this story. I want to just let everybody know that Donnie's a comedian. And that these stories are funny. Okay. All right. That's continue. Awesome. Continue.
Yeah. Totally joking, guys.
For entertainment purposes only, right? Yeah.
And then when I had to see the doctor for my left shoulder, or for both shoulders, right, checking the stability of everything, I had scars on here from the arthroscopic surgery. So I took sandpaper and I rubbed off the scars, burned them. God. So you couldn't tell.
Yeah, you're a maniac.
And then I saw the lady, did the push-ups, the pull-ups, the shit, and I was fucking good to go.
I just imagine this whole time, he's like, oh, they can't tell anything. His shoulders are bloody and scarred and just completely fucked. And he's like, what, guys? It's all good.
I skateboarded
nothing to
over
see.
here.
Yeah, nothing to see. Yeah. You can't even tell.
Do you know how many great Marines have those stories, man?
Yeah. By that time, I've always been challenging myself physically. So I had done a shit ton of triathlons of every distance up to Ironman, to include a bunch of mountain bike triathlons, which Xterras are fucking gnarly. So I came in the Marine Corps so cocky. It was.
So you had calculated lies. You were being dishonest, but you knew you could handle what you were about to get into.
Oh, totally.
Calculated.
I used to train myself for asthma attacks because I'm like, yo, if I'm going in, I'm going in knowing that I'm going to war. Mm-hmm. Right. This was in 2008, 2009, the escalation in Afghan. I'm like, I know I'm going to war, so chance of death, knowing myself, is pretty decent. So I'm ready to die, right? Like I lived my life intensely. So I'm like, if I'm bleeding out from blew my legs off, sucking chest wound, and I'm dying, I will not feel fear. I will only make laughter on my way out. And that's how I lived my life every day going into the Marine Corps. So I'm like, I got to be ready to die in boot camp with this fucking asthma. Because if I have an attack, which I had attacks every now and then, if I have an attack, I can't ask for an inhaler, which means if I have an attack, I'm ready to die. So I used to stick my face in this cat, and then I'd go running and try and hit 3 miles in 18 minutes.
In a cat?
With no inhaler, yeah, because I'm deathly allergic to cats. So it would make lungs do this.
Dude.
Bro.
This story keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was able to talk myself down from multiple asthma
Do you know how
attacks.
many girls are mad right now that you're allergic to pussy? Do you understand what you just did on live podcast, man?
Yet he's still burying his face in it just for the sake, dude.
He's willing to die.
Yeah. That's
a lot
good,
of us
man.
would die for pussy, bro. there's worse ways to go out than pussy.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of men have died for pussy.
That's true.
It's not the worst way to go. You can be hit by a truck instead, you know? Fuck. All right, cool. So, pussy, and then what? And then you run.
Yeah, and that whole time, my dad is convincing me not to do it. He's like, look, man, there's a lot of people who need the Marine Corps, right? He's like, I needed it. I didn't have the leadership ability. I didn't have the social ability. I was too shy. I needed to be pushed and challenged like that. He's like, you've already got all the things that the Marine Corps taught, and you already have experiences that I didn't have, because I was president of my fraternity twice, and I've been a basketball coach.
Did you gamble? Did you run a gambling
ring?
You know what I'm saying?
Do we have yeah, there was gambling going on.
All right, you're a real entrepreneur. Good to go.
And so he's like, you don't need to do it. Like, there are plenty of ways to find massive success in life without the Marine Corps. I'm like, Dad, that's not why I'm doing it. I want the experience. I want to be a Marine. I want to put boots and camis on every day. I want to put battle rattle on my chest. My dream was to be on a helicopter. I wanted to be a 46, CH-46. I wanted to fly into a hot LZ, and I wanted to land, get out, post security, and go fuck shit up. Like, That was my dream because of the Vietnam War movies I'd seen.
Yeah, Hamburger Hill.
That's what I want to do. And he was like, you're going to find the mundane shit stupid. I don't know if you're going to like all the bullshit they have you doing and blah, blah. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm getting into, Dad. Yeah. I'm going to love everything about this. I'm going to love drill. I'm going to love all of the history and tradition and customs and I'm going to love it all. And finally, after going back and forth with emails and letters and calls and talks in person, he said, okay, you passed my test. I was just trying to make sure you were doing it for the right reasons. And it sounds like you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think you're going to be great for the Marine Corps.
You're trying so hard, man. And dude, it's just, it's interesting.
As a civilian, man, watching this, like I hadn't had a whole lot of exposure to, any of the branches of the military.
Hold on a minute. Listen, Donnie, he's a civilian, he's Jewish, and he was homeschooled. Like, we just got to be fair. I just need, Donnie, I need you to have the context of who you're talking to,
that's
man.
That's like the trifecta right there, huh?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I know.
He's remember Little Giants with the guy that had all the pillows around him on the field? You gotta be gentle.
I'm a virgin too, believe it or not.
Hey. That's fresh pussy right there,
whole
Donnie.
package.
Go easy, buddy.
But
you are not a virgin, are you?
No, fuck no. No. Not far off though, man. Just my wife. That's her. She's the only one.
Yeah,
Love you, babe.
Wow. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And Will. Yeah, my wife and Will.
Donnie, we talked about this. He hasn't let me smash yet.
As a civilian, man, it's so cool for me, and I've had. I'm starting to get more exposure to Marines and other branches of military just from being around Will. But, I mean, more than anything, it is so cool to me how the Marines stand out among everybody. Like, both you guys had fathers, coincidentally, who were Marines who were trying to, again, just test you and protect the culture and just wanted to make sure, despite being your fucking blood.
Yeah,
right?
That don't matter.
No, and I mean, just wanting to put you guys to the test.
He's probably trying to protect the Marine Corps from his dumbass son. Like, my fucking son off playing baseball, who thinks who thinks he's something with a chip on his shoulder, is going to the Marine Corps in 04. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And I remember like choose, so I chose, and he's like, I went down to MEPS or whatnot and took my ASVAB and all that good stuff, and I went with the Marine Corps recruiter. And when I was downtown, man, everybody was overweight. No disrespect to other branches, but from my lens, the second I saw all these guys in their dress uniforms downtown where recruits or potential recruits are coming through to take their ASVAB, and you look like just a hot bag of garbage, I'm over it. Because I knew I couldn't be led by people like that. And I don't know if that's a mature thing to say, but back then, like the fat gym teacher, I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I remember fat gym teachers in high school. I couldn't do it. So, I mean, it's choking me up right now. I just want to cry for him. Fuck, man. Like, I want to cry for him. Like, so I knew, like, hey, if I'm going to go, like, that can't be my leadership. And I know that does not speak to the entire, forces of every branch. I know that there's a lot of badasses in every branch. That was just my lens going in. And I remember I came home and I told my dad, I was like, good to go. And he starts, I scored pretty high, Donnie, because I'm a smart motherfucker. And he starts giving me like everything I could go do in the Marine Corps. And I was just watching TV, dude. I wasn't even barely listening to him. He's like, hey, are you listening to me? And I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, no, that stuff's cool. And he's like, are you going to go infantry? And I go, yes, sir. And he's like, you want to go run up fucking hills screaming hoorah all day? Like, you don't understand what you're doing. There's a lot to that just, and I'm just like, hey, man, like, if I'm going to go to the Marine Corps, from my lens, I'm not disrespecting any other MOS, nothing like that, because obviously once we get in and we're exposed to other MOSs, it's awesome. There's a lot of great stuff to combined arms. Everybody has a role. But from my lens back then, it was like, hey, if I'm going to go, hey, that's the backbone of the Marine Corps. That's bull riding. That's kicking doors, and that's bringing the fight to the fight. Like, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go. And that's kind of how I approached everything at that point, at that age. But, yeah, he was kind of the same way, man. He was kind of talking me out of it. And then when I said infantry, and he just fucking like, you fucking sure? Like, yeah, I think so, but it was awesome, man.
It's so funny. My dad, it's funny. He's not like this anymore. Neither am I. I'm not like this anymore at all. But my dad, back for my whole life, was just like, if you're not in the infantry, you're not really in the Marine Corps, buddy.
Bitch.
My dad, he was, and the way he said it, he's a very intense guy. If you ever see in some of my my acting roles, like when I get like really fucking crazy and shit.
Yeah.
I my dad.
Awesome.
And he was just like adamant. There is like he would say shit that I don't even want to repeat, because so much of what I'm trying to do with veteran television is make every military experience seem like awesome, special, coolest thing.
Well, and I think, you know what, man, you and I come from an era where just with the type of warfare that was going on and with technology and where some of those MOSs were going, the fact of the matter is there's just a lot of cool shit for people to go do. And I think you and I can both probably agree that we are so okay, you know, with those other MOSs. However, just don't make it something it's not. Don't act like this if it's not you. Hey, just be comfortable in your own skin. And hey, if you're a part of the air wing or some intel stuff and there's some badass shit going on, or you chose a different branch because, hey, infantry wasn't your thing, that is so fucking okay. Ride that. Own it. Yeah, man. Like, own it, because that's what really just allows everyone to just be comfortable in their skin, man, and just open up and just share some of those stories and really like shed light to just everyone's experience. Because, man, I've got friends from different branches from the Marine Corps. They had no desire to do that, and they were more than okay that I did, and they could give a fuck less, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Say, I got a couple buddies that are just like, fuck you, bullet sponges. He just made a joke the other day. He was an air winger, and he had a fucking rough tour, man. He did 2 pumps to Iraq, fixing 46s while getting mortared, like nonstop at Al Taqadam in Camp Fallujah. And he's had a handful of buddies who died in their tents when fucking with shells landing, right? Damn. And they were turning wrenches, getting oil in their eyes in their flak and Kevlar in 120 degrees for 7 fucking months. Ooh. No sleep. I mean, it sounded miserable. But anyways, he loves making jokes about all the grunts who kill themselves now.
Oh, fucking guy. Oh, fucking guy. Hey, it's almost 7 o'clock in Denver, bro. We're already past happy hour. Only the adults are up right now. We can have that conversation.
It's true.
Oh, my gosh. But hey, Donny, I want to review back a little bit more. So I know you were, so where we left off before we had some funny stories in there was like, you always wanted to be funny. You were eating some pussy, you were sniffing some pussy, but if you die, you want to be funny, and you're at boot camp. That's where you're at. Did you want to leave off from there and continue?
Sure. There was actually a time not long prior to actually going in when I was second guessing being an infantryman, because I was worried that I was going to fuck shit up and get people killed, knowing that I was going to be an officer. Because I've been, I've accomplished a lot of things in life, but all throughout it, I've been a disorganized clusterfuck my whole life. And, all of my successes have been marred with like lots of shame and embarrassment from like forgetting meetings and missing things and being late. And, I wasn't completely confident. I knew I could get by, right? Because I could do the basics of what needed to happen, and I was charismatic, so I could, get other people to help me and stuff. But it's just like, this is Marine Corps, this is combat, and I don't want to like forget something. Like I was always forgetting shit. I didn't want to forget something that, my map or something else that was, going to get people fucking killed. So for a year prior, when I'm actually trying to visualize myself as a Marine, I was just like, you know what? I have to be a Marine. Any job that I could do, I'll be happy with it. I just don't want to live with making mistakes that got people fucked up on my conscience for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Then once I was in boot camp, which by the way was the most hilarious experience of my life, and my college experience was pretty fucking funny, but boot camp was just the cream of the crop of comedy.
Oh my God.
I was just.
Did you go enlisted first?
No, straight OCS.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
And I'm just like, no, I can get this. I can get my shit together. And there is only one way for me to be a Marine officer, and that's to be an infantry officer. So, and
I wonder if like the weight of that just forced you to understand the weight of like just having the tact and being prompt and not forgetting stuff. I wonder if like some of us, that have a lot of ambition when we're younger, but maybe we're naturally talented at some stuff and we excel there, but we're not really taking anything serious and we're just kind of getting by. But maybe how you were just visualizing how you want to be a Marine, just already understanding that you acting like that within this organization can get people hurt. You're already starting to like take on that role of responsibility and then apply it forward.
Yeah. So that was a very positive thing that, positive change in my brain. It was like, you know what? I'm going grunt. So I need to tighten all my shit up. And I had to figure out why it is that I've always been forgetful. Why have I always been late? And a lot of it was alcohol. I'd say 90% of the things that held me back in life were because of alcohol. And in my Marine Corps schooling, couldn't drink. So immediately, I'm better at everything. And so anyways, boot camp was an absolute blast. And then the basic school, very fucking challenging school. And then after that, you have to earn your MOS. So I earned infantry while I was in the basic school, and then went to infantry officer course. And by the way, I forgot, I broke my ankle at the first range in the basic school. And I ripped one of the ligaments right off the bone, but I didn't know it. I thought I just rolled it hard.
Oh shit!
I broke my ankle before, so I'm like, I guess this is just a really bad roll. So I went through all of the basic school with this broken ankle, missing a ligament on the inside. And then it got to the point where it was still unstable, but it didn't hurt as bad. So I did everything.
Your foot was just fucking dead.
Unbelievably physically demanding school.
Yeah.
And I think if more enlisted knew what was in the basic school, they'd be like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I heard that from all my first lieutenants. I know. It was hard. I know.
And I don't get me wrong. None of it was that challenging. I never experienced a moment in Marine Corps training when I thought, I don't know if I can do this. That thought that never existed in my mind.
Right.
So I went to martial arts instructor course at the Mace in Quantico, which is an amazing fucking school. And I broke it. I ripped another ligament off the bone on the inside of my ankles. And then I got the x-rays and they're just like, you got 2 breaks here, avulsion fractures. And so we need to get you in for surgery and get these ligaments put back on the bone, get these bone fragments out of here. And that was a month before IOC. And I was like, okay, roger that. I'll come back tomorrow because the orthopedic surgeon wasn't there. And I just never went back. And then I went on leave and I started infantry officer course, missing these 2 ligaments on the inside of my ankle because I'm not getting rolled back and missing fucking war, man. I came here for war. And if I have to start any school again, I might miss the fucking war.
And you might be in a really bad place if you have to start over. Like some of the schools that we went through in the Marine Corps, man, they're extremely taxing and accomplishing them and putting your body through so much to not only just survive it, but excel, right? Represent yourself well, and just excel through it. To think that you've got to go through it again, man, it's unimaginable. You'd hate to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally. So anyways, I toughed through that shit, made it through IOC. IOC was one of the best fucking times ever. And then got to 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, living in San Clemente, big, gorgeous fucking house. I was with a couple buddies, having the time of my life. I'm a new platoon commander. My platoon sergeant was the most amazing guy. My platoon was great. I got chewed out by the XO right off the bat, checking into.
What happened? What happened?
Okay. So I've been hearing rumors from people that, the main effort of the mission in Afghanistan was the embedded training teams. They are the main effort because they're training the force that is going to take over defense of the country. So
you're talking about training like local Afghanis, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what names they had for them in Iraq, but it was something like that. And, it's just like a squad of Marines with a company of Afghans.
Correct.
And I was told that they're pulling guys to do that, like some of them right off the bat when you check in. They're like, you're going to be an embedded training team leader and you have a different training pipeline and now you're not a platoon commander. And my dream since I was a young guy was to be a fucking platoon commander. Because my dad painted a vision of being a platoon commander in my mind when I was younger. And I'm like, that's it. That's the only vision I had of the Marine Corps. was being a fucking Marine Corps platoon commander in a rifle company. And so I'm scared. I'm like, holy shit, 30% of us are not going to be platoon commanders. And that's a scary thought. So as I'm checking in, the XOs, he's just like, okay, Lieutenant, okay. Yeah, he's going through shit, talking to me about things. And he said, you got any questions for me? And I said, yes, sir. What are the chances of, going to an embedded training team? Because I would prefer to be a platoon commander. And he said, I don't know. 50-50. It's hit or miss. We're going to put you where we need you. And I said, I was nervous saying it, but I was just like, I have to say it. I was just like, totally understood, sir. But I did join the Marine Corps to be a platoon commander, and I did not join to be an embedded training team leader. I don't know what I was thinking. And he goes, you'll do whatever the fuck we tell you, Lieutenant. You fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. Get the fuck out. He was like beside himself. A lieutenant would say that. And I'm just like, oh no, I've already skylined myself.
Oh, dude. Yeah, but there's respect behind it. So did you end up just being, you were a platoon commander, it worked out.
Yeah. So then in my hail, the hail and farewell thing, my hail 2 days later, the battalion commander, who was the battalion XO in Generation Kill, Colonel Eckloff, he as he's introducing me to the battalion, he said something like, and here we have one of our, what he called me, feistier lieutenants. He walked in the front door demanding to the XO that he be a platoon commander. And so we got some balls on this guy. We might have to give him a rifle platoon after all. And I got a rifle platoon.
It worked.
There's something funny about the Marine Corps, man, because you get your ass chewed, or like sometimes you're going to get in trouble. But especially coming back from, like, now that I look back on it, like when I was a leader, and when you see some of that in some of those younger guys, even if it pisses you off, and like that's just not the right way to go about it, there's a level of respect to a guy that's just got the tenacity to do it. And you're like, well, fuck it, that guy's got to do it. And then the reality is there's going to be guys that volunteer for that other bullshit. And as long as there's enough that volunteer, so even though like you came about the wrong way, sometimes there's just that especially from like that guy that made a joke to you but says, hey, we might have to give him one. It's probably like he sees a little bit of himself in you, being like a younger cat, and just, he's got some balls and he's breaking some rules, but he's here for the right reasons. And if people don't understand just the culture of the Marine Corps, man, that we were built in a fucking bar because guys were just pissed off about how other stuff was going and they wanted to do it better. So a few good men went to a bar and drank beer and wanted to fuck shit up, and they did. And they were so good at it that you couldn't afford to get rid of the Marine Corps no matter how much they pissed you off, right? Like there's just a culture of that it's fun to reflect back on it and see, man. What a funny story.
Yeah, that was great.
So is this when you started becoming a comedian, or what? Is this when everybody thought you were the fucking funny guy and then you start taking off with this? Or when did that side, when did your ambition to want to, I remember you were talking about just bringing your family into something and making people laugh and building this company, prior to the Marine Corps, and your thoughts when you were 19. When did you start kind of like putting two and two together with that thought in addition to, what you were doing within the Marine Corps?
So when I made the decision at 19 that one day I'm going to start this production company that makes comedies staffed with my friends and family, I did not expect to do that until I wanted a 10-year career in the Marine Corps. I wanted to be 4 as a grunt, then I wanted to go MARSOC. And that was a 5-year commitment, and that was it. It was all I wanted.
Marine Corps Special Operations Command.
Raiders.
Yep.
And then I was going to go back to being a teacher and a coach, which that was my initial dream. I wanted to be a teacher and a basketball coach and football coach. And so I figured I would do that because I was raised very conservatively. My parents are not entrepreneurs. Mom's a teacher, dad being a Navy doctor. So, the entrepreneur, taking this big giant risk, it wasn't a thing. I figured I would pursue the dream after I had already had a successful career that, had a guaranteed paycheck as a working professional. it was just one of those things where I envisioned that it would happen at closer to 45, 50.
Wow.
But I just knew what to do, right? Going back to the deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be on my deathbed and wish I had done things that I didn't. So that was part of the plan. So the Marine Corps, all of these things in my life leading up to what I'm doing now were just intended to be great experiences. And that's a big part of my everyday and my weekends. And even in our company, I like to say it's about the process. You have to enjoy the process. So I wanted to enjoy being a Marine. And then I wanted to be a cop for a little bit, just because I wanted to be a fucking cop on the beat and have that experience. And then I wanted to go make movies about that shit.
Got it.
And I figured, the way I have lived my life since I was pretty young, probably 12, is that I don't need to hear another person's story till the day I die. If I just wrote my stories, I have enough entertainment to run a company with.
That's such an interesting perspective there, man. Having that, like, that artist side to the entrepreneur side to the fucking killer side, that, dude, I don't know where that comes from.
It's super interesting because Eli and I are actually, like I talk about Eli being that born entrepreneur, man. He's always been crafty and I don't know if it's like his shiesty side. We're going to leave the other word, the J word out of it. We'll call it shiesty. I don't know if it's just like shiesty side, like
creative,
like knocking on doors, selling vacuums and shit for markup prices.
Creative.
I don't know, but just a born entrepreneur. And then for me, man, I had no idea as far as entrepreneurship and mine came later. I was, 31, 32. And then, my significant other brought it up to me after I'd helped build a fitness company. She, after I was a cop, and then I did the fitness thing, and she's like, "Hey, you ever wonder if you did 16 hours a day for something that was yours, like what it would be?" And I was like, "No, I have not." Like I've always been able to kind of like cowboy out and just have a longer leash within whatever scope I was in, but I was always under some type of like institution, I guess, making it my own and like, hey, here's my piece of the pie, and I'm going to crush it and do what I can. But I never thought of actually having my own. So I actually grew into entrepreneurship later, but it's so interesting to hear your story because you've got like some similarities with me as far as like that aspiration to be a Marine and all these things, but the entire time so calculated with your entrepreneur or your creative side, the entire way through it. Super interesting.
I think it is actually, now that I think about it, because I wasn't good at entrepreneur type things, between 22 and 25. I was a personal trainer. I was a freelance teacher. I was like getting these teaching jobs at charter schools where you didn't need a credential.
Oh, cool.
Fuck.
Yeah. I was just doing security. And it wasn't my security company, but I was the one sourcing all the people and helping get jobs doing security for fraternity events. Which, by the way, I would show up as the head security guard with a team of my friends, and then I would get drunk as fuck. And a couple times I would go home with sorority girls.
Oh, dude.
Meanwhile, your friends are the ones kicking dudes out. And
dude, just delegation, man. I bet delegation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's this one time I'm on the dance floor with this sorority chick wearing my security fucking shirt. Because I still knew some of them because I was a San Diego State frat guy I was the president for 5 years.
Napster guy.
And the DJ starts fucking saying, "Hey, is that the security guard on the dance floor? Dude, what are you doing?" Like the DJ's just shaming me.
Oh, dude. That guy's jealous of whoever you're with, bro. That's a party foul. Let that guy rock out.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's so funny.
So,
that's so funny.
We talked the other day when you and I were kind of going over the podcast and you were talking about just living in a basement. I kind of told you my story of living in a Y2K pantry and just studying for real estate and just bumming it out and doing my thing. And that resonated with you and you were talking about your basement and kind of like when you started creating this. So was it toward the end of your career where the comedic side and actually creating film, started, or was this when you had already gotten out? What did that look like for you?
Okay. So I was medically retired from the Marines. After my second deployment, which was Afghanistan, the first one was Southeast Asia on the 31st MEU, my ankle
worst. 30 fucking worst.
Dangling off my leg. It was really, really bad. And because I had broken it multiple times and rolled it plenty. There's just no ligaments. There's no support on it. And so, my degree was kinesiology, teacher, coach, all the fit trainer, and I understood my body pretty well, and I knew I was done. I knew that, you know, I could continue to carry heavy loads because I used to be a fucking beast, and I knew that I had everything needed of a fucking killing machine, except I would crumble underneath the weight of myself and my pack on my weak ankles. And I'm like, that's not going to fly. And so I was like, okay, I'm done. I called my dad before I emailed him before coming home from Afghanistan, before leaving Leatherneck. And I was like, hey, Pops, by the way, pretty positive my ankles at the end of its rope. Can I get some MRIs? So 2 days after I got back, I got MRIs. I had surgery scheduled 6 weeks later, massive reconstruction of my right. And then I went to Wounded Warrior Battalion, and I was kind of a ghost. It was cool. I didn't as a lieutenant, I didn't have anything to do once someone else took over weapons platoon. So immediately when I made the decision, I'm going to have these surgeries and I'm going to medically separate, I'm like, okay, I'm giving up on a dream. I had this very clear vision of being a fucking special forces operator. And I was like, this is, I saw it just like I see everything that I do. And it was clear and it was awesome. And I'm like, I'm giving up on this dream, which means I have to pursue the other dream, which is film and television.
Yeah.
And, I was like, okay, I said, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to start writing right now. I'm going to start writing, and all of my writing will be the foundation of everything that I do. Writing is the foundation of entertainment, whether it's film, TV, or music. And so I was just like, I'm going to publish books, and I'm going to publish them in ebooks on Amazon. And I just did massive amounts of research my last year and a half in the Marine Corps, being paid a fucking solid ass salary to do nothing except plan my future.
Yeah. Right.
And all I ever did was Google everything I ever wanted to do and start designing plans. So a big part of why I have such little tolerance for incompetence is because everything that I've ever learned how to do was on Google.
Fucking Google. Everything. Thank you. Music Google to my ears, bro. Music to my ears.
You just lit that Jew up, bro.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wanted. And so anything anyone's ever wanted to do, someone else has done it.
Literally step-by-step instructions are online anywhere you look.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you got to do is study those who've done it.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, they did this, and then they did that, and then they did that. Well, I can't do that first step, but I could do all of these steps to get to that. But it's like the world is so much easier than people fucking make it out to be.
Yeah. It's that sweat equity, man. I think a lot of times, when we see that in our world, especially like with I guess we'll call it the civilian sector, when you hear people like making things sound harder than they are, right. Sometimes I look at them like, hey, it's not that hard. I think you're just saying that because it gives you an out of just putting the fucking work in.
Yeah, people obsess over minutia,
and that's
these
okay
details
too.
that just don't matter.
Yeah, it just means you don't want it yet, right? Like you've got to. And Doug, we talk a lot about breaking points. Like we talked the other day about like when people want to find their why. What's my why? What am I on this planet for? Oh, to influence people. Shut the fuck up. No, it's not. Like maybe it is, but then how are you going to influence them? I think your why, it constantly evolves and it matures, and you're going to grow as you grow. And being 35, I know enough to know I don't know shit now. And I've been saying that a lot, but it's true. But when you get to the point where you know enough to know you don't know shit, now you're open. Yeah. Now you're open to know, like, I don't know shit. Great. So who's someone vetted that can talk to me? And then you start just absorbing so much more knowledge. And then you take what you want, you leave what you don't, and you keep pushing. But you've got to find the breaking point of like, just like, we all come from a fitness background, right? So it's like people that are overweight and they've got all these dumbass questions and this and that and that. And it's like, hey, look, here's the bottom line. Keep eating the same thing and just taking your fat ass to the gym. Well, that's going to already have an increase. And then keep eating the same thing, but then every time you fix a plate, take something off of it. Just, you don't have to count calories. You're making this so hard because you want it out. And the bottom line is you're not sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
You being a fat fuck, it just hasn't hit. It just hasn't hit you hard enough, right? Yeah. To just want to make that change, man. And I think a lot of times we see that. So when you're talking about Googling and like, dude, literally that's how Eli went about our entire podcast and what type of setup do we need and how we're going to run this efficiently and live stream and be able to bring people on. That was we had to upgrade for that to and allow people to live stream and Zoom in like you're doing today, because we're not doing in person, quite at the moment. And we love this setup, but it was just Googling and figuring it out. Like, is it an internet connection? Is it computing power? Like, if you want it bad enough, you're going to be resourceful. You can find enough information to get started. And then there's going to be enough people through social media. Just reach out. There's people happy to help. So if you get close enough to a solution and you can't, like, you kind of got the concept, but you haven't quite figured it out, you're going to be able to like resource someone that's happy to help out, and you're just not doing it.
And that's why, man, I was super impressed to see your Vet TV platform, man, because I had
to show him, by the way, because he's not a
any other person on the planet would be. It would be a lofty goal for them to even start a YouTube channel. Yeah. That would be a lofty goal for anybody else. Not only are you doing that and you're crushing YouTube and you're crushing Instagram and you've built huge followings on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you've planted yourself, but you're creating a paid subscription fucking television channel. Like that's not normal, Donnie. That's not normal.
No,
not at all.
Well, it's so funny you say that. To me, it was like, oh, okay. So this is all I got to do.
Right.
Fucking Google. You know what I Googled? How to start my own version of Netflix.
Imagine that, man.
Dude, everybody else is on conspiracy theories right now. Everyone's on vaccines right now, not how to create a future. They're on
5G,
vaccines.
Bro. 5G.
Fucking 5G
is where it's at.
That is some shit right there. That'll cook your fucking skin, bro.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. But I grew up on government cheese and ate crayons, so that shit doesn't... Dude, I don't catch corona. I don't get a fucking thing, bro.
Yeah.
So you're immune to all the things.
Dude, after that peanut butter shot and fucking book, dude, I'm not getting a fucking thing. You know what I'm talking about. That peanut butter shot is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They tell you it's a shot. It's actually, it feels like someone's penis going into your butt. But they tell you it's a shot. I can't confirm. I didn't see it go in. They could have done a switcheroo on me, dude. I don't know.
So Donnie, I'm curious, man. When did the content creation start for you? Did you start on Instagram? Did you start on YouTube? Your Instagram page is hilarious, man. Both Vet TV and your personal one, Donnie O'Malley. Where did you start? What was the first step that you took?
Yeah, you're at Wounded Warrior Battalion, and you're writing that content and stuff. And then when did you start putting some of that out on the platforms?
So I didn't even have Instagram for a while, and I credit John Acevedo for building my Instagram. At first it was John, and then Greg Kelly, and then Christopher Michael, and then Jessica Mandala. I haven't run my Instagram. It's been them. They've done it all.
Fucking officers. You guys in your delegation, listen to me, man. You like Google, you did it. Yeah, I Googled how to do it, and then I just told everyone else to go do it. Like, what an asshole. You're such an officer, man. Shit. I knew there was a trick play in there. Like, yeah, hey, I Googled it, and then I told everybody what I read on Google. You're like Steve Jobs. Like, you read some shit, and you're like, hey, see this book? Put this fucking book in there. Funny. Great. I'll be back in an hour. Yeah, that's all right. But, hey, you're pushing people. It's great, so... officers.
So the first thing that I did was write blog stories. That's it. I figured the key to my success is being a great writer.
Okay.
And so that's what I should focus on, is writing.
And not to interrupt, but I'm guessing that's pretty hard. So all joking aside, I know I'm just busting your balls about the officer thing, but I'm guessing with the creativity and the amount of time it takes to do that, hence why other people might have to run social media platforms, because you've got to be the one that's creating content for them to post in the first place, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the early days of Vet TV, I was the main writer. But prior to Vet TV, I was writing a book. And, this was my thought. I was like, I'm going to write books, and I'm not going to ask permission for someone else to publish my shit. Self-publishing, anyone in the fucking world can do it. You could be a homeless guy going to the public library using free internet at an hour at a time, and you can publish a fucking book. So there's no excuse. So I'm like, I'm going to publish ebooks so I don't have to worry about printing.
Yep.
I can market the ebooks. I can make it really cheap. If I have a lot of really good, solid keywords in my title, it'll rank me higher in the Amazon searches. Amazon, third largest search engine in the world. So I got to get good keywords in there that are going to hit the people that my book is targeted to. And then I'll write another book and another book. And so I broke down my life, because I'm all writing stories of my life. I'm going to break down my life into 3 categories. One of them was necessary violence. And those are all stories of me fighting and in combat. And then another category was unnecessary sex. This stories of girls that, I mean, back in the day, I wasn't concerned with looks. It just wasn't a thing.
You were like, you on the grog pot every fucking time kind of guy.
So when I was in college in my fraternity, we had an award called the Hogsman.
Yeah, it was like the hog pot in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
I never heard of fucking the Hogsman of the Year. I won it 3 years in a row.
So yeah, so
for the wonderful female listeners, can you explain what
I'm going to tell you? And here's the deal: I'm going to take a different approach to this, because we need to appreciate Donny for the discipline to actually get sexually aroused and finish. Because the whole hog spot, or whatever you guys call it in college, literally you get as many guys, I'm guessing, in your fraternity or just guys in the Marine Corps that were at the same unit, putting money into this thing, into this pot, dude. And whoever had the ugliest or fattest or just most unattractive person and fornicated with them and finished and somehow was able to show evidence of of that.
Oh my God.
One, and listen, dude, you got to prove it. There ain't no bullshit and like you get into a car. No. There's got to be a witness in the dark corner just watching painfully.
Yeah.
But listen to me. You got to like just mentally prepare for that. And you've got to like get in there and perform and finish.
Yeah.
Incredible testament to the strength you have.
Adversity,
mentally.
man.
Adversity.
Adversity.
And I want people should idolize and respect the effort that went
yeah.
behind that warrior right there. That's where you got your combat action ribbon. That's why it's on your right. When Afghanistan, that's where you got your combat action ribbon, bro. The fucking hog pot. Jesus, you could have died. You could have died.
So we got necessary violence, unnecessary sex. What's the third volume? And what was that?
Embarrassing confessions.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I figured these are the 3 categories of entertainment that I have to offer the world. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break my life up into phases. So I broke my life up into, it was like 0 to 6 or something. It was when I lived in New York, when I lived in North Carolina. Then when I moved to San Diego, and I was a shy, nerdy, bullied kid. And then when I broke out of that phase with my first big fight, which is like the story of that fight it's magical. It's made for entertainment. And I became a legend amongst my school after that fight. And then now everybody fucking wants to be my friend, and girls want to talk to me. And now I'm kind of becoming a leader of, this group of people that they're all looking up to me because I stood up to this big fucking redhead 6'4", 220 bully.
I got to hear that story, man. I got to hear that story.
Got to read the book.
Oh, come on. We got plenty of time. We're only an hour into this thing.
Do we? All right. So here we go. This dude, Tony Boyle,
Tony Boyle.
Oh, shit.
Motherfucker. Tony Boyle.
Remember O'Doyle?
Oh, yeah. O'Doyle rules. Yeah.
Right. So there's some crazy connections I have to Adam Sandler, his connection to his grandmother.
Yep.
And my connection to my grandmother, who I still have, fortunately, and my closeness with the family, my desire to stand up for the little guys, and then having this giant redhead bully in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my senior year, and I had gotten to the point where I had first experienced what it was like to visualize something and see it clearly in my mind and then make it reality. And that was the first thing that I did was I visualized starting on the football team, right? So the first time I played was I was a sophomore. I was a scrub, never played, not a single play till the very last maybe 5 plays of the season in the final game that we were losing. And coach threw me in. And it felt those last 5 being on the field, that was such an incredible feeling. Even though I didn't do well, I was just like, I have to feel this again. So I set a goal. I'm going to stay JV my junior year, and I'm going to start both ways. I'm going to start on the defensive line, and on offense, I wanted tight end. And then I wanted to be on special teams too. And I never wanted to come off the field. And I wanted to be the long snapper. That's right. Right. I visualized all that, and every single thing I dreamed of came true because I worked my fucking ass off and I never stopped seeing it in my head. And this is going for the kid that didn't play it down,
I'm like, I'm going to never come off the field next year. And the next crop of kids, they were all bigger than me and fucking insane athletes. So I had a challenge ahead of me, and I did it. And I wasn't the best on the team, but I achieved my own goal. So I now, my brain works differently. I'm like, holy fuck.
This works.
I have the ability to visualize something and to make that vision a reality. And because back when I was being bullied, reality wasn't that cool. Instead, I lived in my imagination. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when my creativity, you know, as human beings, we tend to lose creativity as we get older and lose our imaginations. My imagination kept on going until experiencing that. And I realized, wow, my imagination can actually lead to reality. Okay, let me try this again. I did it with this car. I wanted a 4-door Cadillac with plush seats. I got exactly what I wanted, put speakers in it. It was a dream. Then I visualized dunking a basketball, right? Mm-hmm. I was that fucking that white kid that was always getting beat by all the fucking fast guys. Mm-hmm. And
fast guys. Yeah. Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who. I was getting smoked by everybody. But when I was in North Carolina, they were all black. And they all fucking would smoke me. So now I'm like, I dunk a basketball. And now I'm in dunk competitions with the black kids at my high school.
Crazy.
So I'm like, you know, it's this forward momentum. Wow, if I can see it, I can do it. And then I'm feeling really good about myself in my basketball class. And Tony Boyle, I'm like trying to play basketball, and he was just this fucking asshole because he's such a beast. He just like do whatever he wants. He just comes and he stands there in the middle of the key while we're trying to play full court. And I bump into him, and I wasn't trying to, you know, start shit. I bump into him, and I was just like, oh, sorry, dude. And I like, you know, get back to defense. Mm-hmm. And he just turned around, and he was just like, don't fucking touch me, bro. I'll fucking kill you.
Wow.
And in that moment, I'm looking at him, I'm like, this guy's so big. If I stand up to him and lose, I will still be respected for standing up to him.
Yep.
So I have nothing to lose here. So I was just like, okay, you want to kill me? Let's fight at lunch. And I was like, calm as day. Normally, any sort of fucking confrontation, I'd be shaking.
Yeah. Yep.
Voice cracking, sweat, all the shit. Just calm as day. And I'm just like, okay, let's fight at lunch. And he was like, fuck you. I'm like, no, really, let's fight at lunch. And my buddies coming up to me, like, yo, dude, what are you doing, man? Stop. And I was just like, I'm not making a big deal of it, but he said he was going to kill me at lunch, dude. Let's go to Lucido Park. And he's just like, fuck you little bitch. And I'm just like, okay. And so now I saw in his eyes, I saw a moment of uncertainty in his eyes.
Yep.
And I was like, this motherfucker's scared.
Yep.
Maybe he's not as tough as I thought he was.
No one's ever fought him, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? I can't let this go. I'm just like, I have to make this
Smell
happen.
the blood, huh?
Even losing. I saw fear in his eyes. Mm-hmm. Fuck this shit. Mm-hmm. So I start going around telling people. I started telling his friends, hey, bro, did you know I'm going to fight Tony at lunch? Did you know I'm going to fight Tony at lunch? And all my friends are like, oh, what? Oh, shit. We got a brawl at lunch in Lucido Park. All of these buddies are stoked. And I see Tony getting more scared.
Oh, shit.
So now his buddies are all fucking egging him on. Yep. And I go to one of his buddies was like one of the most popular badass kids in the fucking school. And I was like, hey, dude, he told me he was going to fucking kill me and beat my ass and shit. So I really would like to fight him. So just have him meet me at Lucido Park. I said, I won't even bring all my friends to fucking to brawl or nothing, just one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And he was just like,
Yep.
Because this guy that I was talking to was a brawler, and he had actually gotten his ass the street from the school. I didn't even go tell all my buddies. I was like, this is it. So I didn't even tell my buddies. They all ended up finding out because I'm walking. And as I'm walking across the street outside the school, just pickup trucks full of fucking like skater kids. And
oh, shit.
Aaron fucking Blink-182 and NoFX and shit. Going down there. And then we get into this fucking circle, like it's like the size of a wrestling mat, kind of. And I pulled up my pants, and I tied my shoes, tied my belt buckle a little tighter, and then fucking.
Did you have a little SA belt? Were you wearing Dickies with like that SA belt?
No.
No?
I think it was like car, some shit.
All right.
Probably fucking skater shoes or basketball shoes. But he fucking came at me, and what did he do? Oh no, I faked a swing, and then he went back, and then he swung at me, and I did one of these right here. See my frame up? I went like this, leaned back, and I caught him right here, and he went down.
Oh shit!
And all his friends were just like, and my friends were like, yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
then I'm just like, I was feeling so confident in that moment. I'm like, no, I'm not going to get on the ground and pounce him. I'm going to make this look like the sickest thing. I'm like, this is my moment. So I'm like, get up. And he gets up. He throws a couple more times. It was like, dodge, kink.
Oh.
And like everything I did, it looked like a movie. It looked Brad Pitt in Snatch, you know?
Yeah. Great scene, by the way. Great scene.
Every time he goes down, I'm just like, get up. And then every time he went down, I could see in his eyes, he was losing it.
Yep.
He was losing his ability to stand, to see me clearly, and his will to fight. And then finally, after, I mean, and I'm talking every swing of mine connected well. And finally, it was just like a jab to here, and he went down, and his whole face is swollen.
Yep.
And I've got like maybe 10 connections. And he couldn't talk. He clearly had a concussion. And his buddy, all right, he's done. And I'm just like, thought you were going to kill me, dude. All right, cool. And I walk back over to my side where, 10, 15 of my buddies are there. And they're just like, ah!
Dude. Yeah.
And that was like a defining moment for me because I'm like, I really can visualize it and make it happen.
So this is where, because of your mental ability, now I got a question. Like, why did you muster up those mentally unattractive girls and then do that? With all, out of all the strength you have in that brain, like, that's what the fuck you started doing with it, Donny? You weren't donating to charity, you were smashing hippos? God damn it.
No, here's the thing, is that there's a lot of things that go into it. And this is, I'm being very serious about all the things. For one, my largest insecurity has come from women. And I think that that's true for most men. And that's probably why men are such assholes to women, because women are the only fucking things that'll make men feel not good enough. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that if I don't desire these hot chicks, I'm not going to feel insecure. If I only desired chicks that I knew I could get, I would always be happy. Mm-hmm. And so I had this thing with my buddies. I'd be like, I would find one nice feature on a woman that most men wouldn't find any nice features. I'd find one and I'd be like, oh God, she's got a beautiful nose.
Yeah. Fucking shallow how.
Beautiful hair.
Yeah.
Shit like that, right? And so it was like, it's like a defense mechanism to avoid insecurity. It's also another vehicle to make my friends laugh.
Yeah.
And then it also, like, if I felt good, I didn't have to like do all this, coaching and convincing and shit with any of these women. They were fucking stoked beyond belief.
Which that had to have felt good too, right? Like knowing that you're making this girl, she's having a good night with a good looking dude. There's probably an attractive aspect to that feeling, right?
Well, you're just taking a lot of barriers down. Like if she had barriers for for where she's at or who she is, and you're not even like acknowledging them, like you're more than okay. Like there's just so many superficial things that just part ways, and then you can actually just enjoy a person for who they are.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I find out that some of these chicks that weren't that hot looking were the fucking coolest chicks.
Yeah. 100%.
The coolest ones to hang out with.
Yeah.
And eventually I had a mixture. I just loved women in general. Yeah. So but if it's just like, this was my thought. If someone desired me, if a woman desired me, that's what I tell my buddies, like, who am I to tell her no?
Yeah.
I love that, man.
That'd be a damn shame.
That's awesome.
would tell her no.
You're here to
awesome.
serve your country, bro. And there's a lot of onion, there's a lot of layers in that fucking onion to peel. And maybe for a little while it was pulling sugar, but maybe like you got to come home and make Americans proud, and that's part of your duty, bro.
So it's all the things together. But like in my frat house, you know, if I had a girl that nobody else wanted, I'd put her on my arm and I'd fucking introduce her to everyone in the frat house as my girlfriend.
Oh, that's
and,
cool,
know,
man.
It was 4 stories high, and hey, you met Jessica?
That's cool, man.
Hey, man, I got a question for that, or like a real question. I could be wrong, but back prior to your glorifying moment with that fight, and just being kind of bullied and quiet, and just not really being popular, not being on the football field, but then feeling what it felt like to be in the spotlight and just have people like you. Do you think when you were like having fun with those girls and calling them your girlfriend and introducing them to everyone, was that kind of like your way to like, did you sympathize with some of them? And that was kind of like your way to just, you know, just give back and just allow people to just feel good about themselves, regardless of looks or whatever. And just realizing that there's just a lot of great people, regardless of what you look like on the surface. And you just wanted to like, let them have a moment. Is there some of that in there?
100%.
Very cool.
Because I knew the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd been the guy that was trying to get this, you know, smoking hot, stuck up chick who, you know, just kept making me feel like I wasn't good enough to hook up with her.
Her pussy gave you asthma. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's dangerous.
Now, Donny, before we get too far off the subject, man, I know I'm not the only one curious. You're super into your visualization, and I'm curious what your process is like with that. How, you know, when you say you visualize something and you've had all the success with it, I also imagine that it's not just you're thinking about it for a few seconds. You know, do you have a process behind visualizing that you try to implement?
I've never thought about the visualization process. No, I think a lot of it is I spend a lot of time alone.
Okay.
Insane amount of time alone, and I allow myself to live in my own head a lot without distraction. And it started, you know, obviously younger, being bullied, not having many friends, except my brother. My brother's always been my best friend. But I would, in college at the least, many nights I would go out to my car, to my Cadillac, and I would smoke in the back of my caddy, at least in the summers when I was home at my parents' house. And in that time, smoking by myself in the car, it was like special time. And I do that to this very day.
In your car?
No, I do it in my room.
House. Yeah.
But having this time with no music, or I'm sorry, that's not true. Now I have music a lot when I do it, but no TV.
Right.
And other distractions. And I'm just able to process all the things that I've been thinking and feeling. And any things that I want to do or want to have happen, I'll see it over and over. You know what the process is? It's repetition.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's like every time you go through any physical motion, or shooting a basketball, whatever, your brain is getting more efficient at that pattern of firing.
Yeah, like that neural pathway is just getting solidified.
Getting honed, right? You're building up the thickness of that myelin sheath. Yep. And the same thing goes for visualization for me. Probably most people. But it's like every time I'm like, no. If the vision's not clear, at least when I'm writing, I visualize way more than what I'm putting to the page, because I have to see everything in that scene clearly, everything that's going on in that room or in that world at that time. I have to see it and understand it. And so that's why I usually act every character out. And I'll do it in the mirror most of the time. And, but when it comes to just my own life, I just keep playing the vision over. You know, I had this vision of what I wanted the Vet TV office to be like. What it would be like walking in through the front door. What are the first things that you see? How does it feel when you come in there? Depending on the employee, what is their pathway when they come into the office?
Mm-hmm.
Walk into the kitchen, put their stuff away, grab some stuff, grab some coffee, and then go back into the marketing room. What thoughts are running through their mind as they're coming through there? And I want to control those thoughts. So my vision for that front wall is there's a big screen TV. And on that TV is a calendar for the day. So immediately they're being reminded of all the big things that the company has going on. Then on one corner of that screen will be our subscriber number. And I think we're at like 76,000 right now. And then I forget the other things that I wanted on the screen so that every member of the team, when they walk in, we're all getting on the same page because we're seeing the same image.
Mm-hmm.
Now that image is going to carry on to the next room where there's another image on that TV in that room. On the screensaver, which Google Chrome screensaver is how we're going to do it, is have the company's core values on there and messages that I think are important for all of our people to help get us on the same page and get us to collaborate better and work with each other and to create the culture that we want. It's all about reinforcing that imagery, which puts ideas into their head. And that's repetition. Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing this as I'm sitting at home, smoking weed in my room.
Yeah.
And then I'm communicating that to John, our president, and to Jeff, who does a lot of operations and marketing. And very slowly, all of these visions of the way we would meet together and collaborate. I'm like, you know what? Every single time we have a new draft of an episode, we should put it on the big screen and we should all sit around. It should be on the calendar. And if we create an environment that is enjoyable to be in, if everyone loves that collaborative environment, because you as the director, it's your product. It's normally a scary thing as a director presenting your product to 5 other writer directors, because the job is to tell you what's not working and provide solutions to fix it. So now it's like, okay, we have to look forward to it. So that means the environment has to be respectful. It has to be transparent. We have to speak with candor, and the director needs to look forward to it because he knows that his product is going to get better when he walks out of that meeting. Mm-hmm. And all that matters to any creative is the final product. In the process, there's going to be a million times when you're like, God, this sucks. This is a fucking piece of garbage. But all that matters is that by the end, it's not a piece of garbage.
Right.
And it's something that you're proud of and that the audience is willing to pay for. So envisioning all of these things. And then it took me a long time to see it clearly and be able to communicate it. But it came true. And it came true because the other people in the company saw the vision, and then we did it once. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty positive all the people that we have, our writer directors, are all more talented than I. But getting them together to work in a certain way is the real key ingredient to running a television network, or really running any big artistic endeavor, is creating vehicles for collaboration that make products better.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like, dude, the special sauce to all of this, I think, is that you didn't mention yet, but because I think it's because you're so passionate about it. And this is the part where people fuck up, is the patience that goes along with that, because goes with that, and to maintain that vision and have the patience to keep executing every day until that vision comes to life.
Someone said, a while back, and I heard it to the Marine Corps, is you'd be surprised what you can accomplish when no one's trying to take the credit. Right. So just being able to empower people who are talented. They didn't do something that wasn't funny, because I know it's all to just make a product better and we're moving forward. But that's got to start with leadership. That's got to start there, because it's from the top down in that aspect, as far as just trying to take credit. Like you said, hey, all these people are way more talented than me. But just being able to present the environment to allow everyone to excel, that's where special things really start happening. And it's just very clear right there in that moment of just not having to necessarily take the credit, but actually being proud to give other people credit as well. A lot of great things happen there.
Yeah, and that's super inspiring, man. I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm lighting my blunt up tonight, man.
Yeah,
I'm getting
I can
intentional,
see a little
dude.
Potheads you guys are mentally fucking each other right in front of me. I'm right here. But I got to ask you on a serious note, because that type of mental power, dude, it's impressive. And I want to know, when did you start visualizing me reaching out to you? Were you on the shitter? Were you masturbating? What caused this dude to jump into your fucking head? Because you came to me. I kept seeing you in my news feed, so apparently that was you like communicating to me. But like, what was it? Was it during masturbation? Was it on the shitter? What I mean,
No.
What was the deal?
I was deep inside a woman I was dating.
Oh,
Great answer.
so I'm your baby. I'm a baby. I'm a mental baby.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she was pretty fucking swole and tatted.
Mm.
Oh, one of those.
I saw a vision of this swole, tatted chick, and I'm like, I got to reach out to Will.
Dude,
What am I doing?
hey,
I know.
wait till you see me. Wait till you see me in silkies. It's intimidating.
Woo!
Oh, hell yeah.
I have to say though, before we I'm sure we're going to move on to another topic in a minute, but my process of getting to this point, I fucked up a lot, combined with a lot of studying of Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I created a vision for myself of this entrepreneur that was actually unhealthy. And I ended up hurting relationships with friends I was working with by having this vision of this like real serious hard ass who was like really fucking demanding and in your face and fucking no bullshit. And I wasn't gonna, I didn't give a fuck about feelings, which is the fucking stupidest thing in the world once you leave the military. It's like when you're in the military, you can't give a fuck about feelings because feelings might make you less good at fucking murdering people by the hundred. Right? Being in a combat zone, there are so many things that you experience that will crush your emotions, that they'll make you not good at your job. And there's only one thing that matters when you're in combat is winning. And if you're going to win, you got to be on point in the fight every fucking second. And so, those of us who become successful in combat, it's because we've got good at being sociopaths. We got good at turning off empathy. The thought of someone else's feelings doesn't exist in our minds because the thought of our own feelings doesn't exist. And that's a necessary thing. That means you're good at warfighting. However, when you get out, ignoring feelings is how you end up being one of the other fucking people making a Facebook post. Hey guys, fucking, it's not worth it anymore. Fucking, she just left me, just lost my job, getting evicted. And it's like that same fucking guy is the one saying fuck your feelings and being proud to be an asshole for the last 12 years of his life. It's like you have to leave that mindset behind and accept the fact that I'm in a new environment and I need to adapt differently. And adapting differently to the civilian environment means embracing your own feelings and the feelings of those around you. Because without feelings, you have no good relationships. And without good relationships, you are left alone and in the dark. And that's when you fucking blow your brains out. So that was a crazy segue.
No, that was awesome.
It's great because and again, you were just your visualization of pulling thoughts out of my fucking brain. I felt it because that's right where I'm going. We were talking about some things that you want to do not only with Vet TV, but some type of like coaching and leadership that you want to add to that. And you and I had a great conversation about this because I was talking about some successes that we've had. But then I was also shedding some light on some trouble points that veterans are going through that I think we could help with, just as far as like not only just our success and some things that we've accomplished, but being able to speak to them and then being able to let them know, hey, not only can you go out and attack society and you don't have to change who you are, you've got to assess and you've got to adjust that feeling type and you've got to be a little bit more aware of some other things, but you don't have to change the core of who you are, right? Like we talked about that the other day, and then just letting them understand that just being a little bit more honest and forgiving and embracing who you are and finding those strengths and figuring out where those apply back into society can be such a strength. And like, look, man, like Eli and I were brokers, right? We do real estate, man. We've got a team of soccer moms, and you can't get any more white collar, or soccer mom than that. Like I definitely don't look the part, but when you go through my careers and especially like police work and just managing people's emotions and taking them through a process and caring for them, well, yeah, that's a real estate transaction. Believe it or not, it's more similar than it's not. It's literally, man, like if you were looking at it like it was DNA, you couldn't tell the two different unless you saw somebody standing in a police uniform. You would know that DNA was police. But when you were looking at it from a preparation and a care and a system, process approach, they're very, very similar. And, Eli and I are super eager to just get out there. And the reason why Eli is so important in all this is because, man, he's a civilian. I also want veterans to understand that whether you're creating something, no disrespect to entrepreneur brands, right? But we see a lot of entrepreneur brands come out and it's just a bunch of veterans doing something, and they're doing some incredible stuff. And I would never want to downgrade that. It's phenomenal. But I also want veterans to be open to the fact that, like, hey, you can still, go reintegrate yourself and be around civilians or have a civilian business partner. And believe it or not, there's a lot of great layers and perspective and appreciation you're going to have from someone that's not fucking you, right? To just allow yourself to just become a little bit more, just have more depth to who you are, man. And it's such an incredible piece. And we were talking about that the other day, and you were like, yeah, man, it's funny because here's what I want to do with FET TV, and we'll let you kind of shed light on that. But I think, yeah, man, before we end it, let's end on some of that, if you want to mention some of that stuff, and then just forecasting now, what you want to do with VET TV and on.
Okay, lot there. So should I speak to the connection between veteran and civilian first?
Yeah, you can speak to that and just how to everything I said prior to where you want VET TV to go. I would say you can speak to that first.
Okay. So let me think. The value bringing civilians into your world, I think, is and embracing them as your people, and not looking at them as like them. That's a part of the mindset that needs to shift, is that all people are your people. We are people, and people make the world go round. So alienating people in any way it means there's an unhealthy thing going on in your mind. It means there's still a remnant of the military mindset that you need to let go of. And having civilians in your life is so incredibly important. Maybe not all of them, but it's like.
But not all Marines, not all veterans are good for you either, right? Like I get where you're going, where you don't want to make like a blanket statement, but I think that just goes without saying, regardless.
Well, I was going to say that a lot of veterans are fucking assholes, right? A lot of the veterans they're still fucking. They're hitting the bar fucking 5 nights a week. And what is their life? It's like, go to the job, go to the bar, watch a sport, repeat.
Yeah.
Right. How much value is that going to add to you if that's your friend?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not. But if you've got a civilian friend that went to college when you went to the Marine Corps, and then now he's got a job doing, cybersecurity, and he has a fucking lovely professional work. He's got a great family and a home, and he leads this happy, loving life. It's like, there's a lot you need to learn from that fucking guy.
You could. And you know what's funny when you say that, not to cut you off, but I think, something that veterans can be a little bit more open to. And again, not every civilian, but believe it or not, man, like in our generation of us coming out, more times than not, dude, civilians want to love on you. Civilians want to kind of embrace you and like, oh man, like you did so much cool stuff. And man, there's just so much that I think that I can learn from you. Like, you don't have to worry about like measuring your cock against other veterans, because there's a lot of toxicity there, and like just in kind of like how we treat each other can get a little abusive, or just the toxicity behind it. Or hey, you've got your friends for that, and that's what it is. But yeah, man, more I guess from my experience, more times than not, man, a lot of civilians, when they start to get to know you, they really want to love on you and appreciate you and value you and do things with you. And I think that if you're just a little bit more open to it, like you said, people are people, you kind of like fit that role into their little cell, and everyone kind of has what they're doing, especially with entrepreneurship. And if you're just a little bit more open to that, you might realize how much appreciation and care that you get. And boy, does that change your energy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. We are, your mind is generally shaped by your environment. What images are you seeing on a daily basis? What images start your day? What's in the middle, and what's at the end? And I don't think enough people actually think about that. Like, what am I putting into my mind? Like their morning, a 40-minute commute is, Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
Who, he can be funny, but if your 40 minutes of every day is Howard Stern, and then, you're doing like the Man Show with your buddies at lunch,
mm-hmm.
while you're hanging out with, thinking back to my own family, a bunch of construction workers on the job. And then you're hanging out at the bar and, there's a bunch of dudes who are fucking dock workers and teamsters and shit, right? Like real blue collar dudes, right? What conversations are being had in those environments? Are those conversations breeding personal growth, love for each other, respect, are any good for the world? I grew up in some of these environments. No. Yet, do you ever think about like how long do you want your brain to be filled with those thoughts?
Well, and what's dangerous is you're complacent to it. That's what's so, and you know this from the Marine Corps, man. Complacency kills. But we tend to identify with that when we're talking combat. In reality, complacency within any environment, it's like erosion just over the brain. And when you don't realize how much you're taking in or how much that's affecting you, whether it's a relationship or just the people you're on from your hometown, whatever it may be, that it's the complacency piece of you not being aware of what that's doing to you that actually makes it tenfold, man.
Yeah. So you make this more conscious effort to have better images and thoughts in your mind, and that usually means surrounding yourself with better people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where they're from, whether they're civilian or military, pogue, none of that matters. All that matters is right now, are they a nice person that I can trust that's not going to stab me in the back or fuck my wife or whatever? Is this like an actual like decent person?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should spend more time around them. You know what I mean? It's like being surrounded by good people. And I've had some of these revelations getting out of the military where when I was in, I was a fucking psychopath, man. Like I'm telling you, I was bad. And I was a misogynistic fuck. I just wanted to fucking kill and smash. Fucking kill, right? And everything, was about feeding my need to be the alpha male. And all the guys I was surrounded by were the same way. And then I come back home and I hang out with like my mother and her teacher friends, or my brother and his teacher friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, what a different fucking world this is. Then I remember, holy shit, this is where I come from.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Jesus. And I start thinking about, all of the horrible thoughts and tendencies that I had while I was a warrior professionally. It's like the military exists for one reason. That's to defend the nation. Defending the nation means winning wars. Winning wars means destroying humans and places. The military is built on a core value of destruction, right? If you think about the way we treat each other in the military, it's atrocious. The amount of lying and manipulation that goes on, right? I don't think I fucking met a guy who was faithful to his girlfriend or wife when I was in. Actually, no, I knew a few, but majoritively not. And it was accepted, right? Like you lie to a bro and it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, what a piece of shit. But meanwhile, the guy's, telling his wife he's out of the field in 2 days instead of he's out tonight,
Yeah.
And that's, fucking hurry up, make the call. That's accepted culture. You go out, these fucking nice teachers, and all they're talking about are the nice things that they're doing for their students, and maybe some of the arguments they had with the students' parents or their administrators, and they're talking about these things, these plans they have for their family, and it's like, wow, what a fucking world.
Yeah.
That's the world I want to be in now that I have moved on from the military experience. That's one of the messages that I want to put out there through, running a media company. That's why I like connecting with you guys, because you guys get it, similar mindset. And we can push these messages out to our community as a means of getting them to wake the fuck up. And I think there's more value in having our messages heard by the real rough and tough blue collar community, a lot of grunts, because we are grunts.
Correct.
So it's like, if it was somebody else preaching this message, they might wave them off. But a fucking savage killer like you, with all the experiences that you have, now preaching these messages that it's just like, guys, look, we had a good time. We had fun when we were fucking young killer warriors. But let's fucking move on and grow in a positive way. For one, because it's just, there's way more happiness and laughter in that life. And two, so that everybody stops killing themselves.
Yeah. And just understanding that you don't have to like let everything go, right? Like, do I still have a mentality of protecting my family and you know, and doing what I have to do to keep the loved ones and the close ones to me safe? Like, yes, like, please understand. Don't ever think that that's not there. It just understand that if, you know, like when you're going through your stuff and you're going through your combat deployments and maybe that's the majority of what you're doing and that's because that's the theater you're in and that's what you're doing, cool. But then where we're at now, you don't got to be code level red and code level black wherever you're going, right? Like, no, like now that you're back here, now you're just able to embrace this other side of you, this other side of humanity. But you don't have to, but you're not a little puss ball for doing so. You still have this side, and hey, yeah, you're still going to kill someone in a second. You're still a bad motherfucker. All right, hey, good to go. But part of being a bad motherfucker is your kids being able to talk to you. Part of being a bad motherfucker, man, is just being trustworthy to your significant other where she can trust that you're not going to freak out or do some crazy shit that you don't give up on. You want to talk about core values and honor and courage and commitment and brotherhood and these things. You've got so many good things in you if you just understand that you can also direct them down this path, the fulfillment that you're going to have from it, and also realizing that you're still a bad motherfucker for doing it. Hey, man, it's all good. We've just got to like kind of lead the path and let people understand that. And man, you see that in a lot of law enforcement. That was like the majority of a lot of experiences that I have. And the hard part about that, Donnie, was, you know, like when you're going on your deployments, I'm assuming, right, like you're turning it on. And when you're there, you're on. When you come home, like to an extent, it can kind of come off and you're going through your decompression. But man, police officers, you're turning that on and off every night, man. You're going to go from shootings to gang fights to an old lady fell and needs help with her groceries to a fire to a verbal domestic to a car accident to, you know, another car accident to, you know, and then you got to go home to your family and then you got to be dad again. You know, or you got to be husband again. And then the very next day, man, within 8 to 10 hours, if you didn't work any overtime, like you're going right back into the thick of it and you're putting that hat on, right? And as you know, a lot of military guys end up pursuing those careers. And what they don't understand is, you know, believe it or not, that can be a harder environment because you're home and you're dealing and, you know, and having home every single night and it's flipping on and off. And if you're not creating any control measures to combat that, or if you don't have any safe guys you can talk to that have been through that can speak to you, and you're not being resourceful there, man, that is a dangerous place to be for everyone. It's not just dying. It's just a psychological, you know, stress on your family and on loved ones. That's somewhere where, hey, we're strong. We're warriors, right? That means we got to be strong in everything that we do, man. And just to be able to lead that and encourage it, it's honorable, you know?
It is. And there's joy in it. I think if there's anything we could get people to do is to identify what makes them actually really happy.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time you experienced immense joy where you were just like this, like ear to ear? When was the last time? Some guys, they got to think back a long fucking time to when they felt that.
Yeah.
On top of an Amtrak rolling through Iraq.
Yeah, and if you're not open up to a lot of things, you're like, it's like cocaine, man. You're chasing that last high, and you never want to come down from it. But no matter what, guess what? Once those experiences are over, if you're not going to adapt and be a new person, you want to keep chasing that coke high, but you don't have any more cocaine left. So as much as you want to like snort an Adderall now, guess what? You're coming down now. No matter what, you're coming down now. And the harder you keep fighting it and doing what you're doing, it's going to get worse. But the reality is just be a little bit more forgiving of yourself, but then also realize how much more life you can go embrace. And God damn it, you've earned it. You fucking earned it. Like you owe it to yourself to go embrace some different things and some different qualities of life and just grow as a human being and just be a positive impact for other people. Fuck, man, you've earned it. Go enjoy that. Embrace that. That's your time that you've worked so fucking hard for and sacrificed over here for. Go be this person. You're not letting go of anything. You can still be you and be a fucking badass and go to the shooting range and fuck yeah, cool. But embrace these sides and realize you've earned it. You've done something to earn that peace. Don't miss out on it.
Bro, you know what I want to see? I want to see some hardcore killers get out of the military and go be professional windsurfers.
I got him beat, bro. I'm a realtor. You fucking kidding me? Windsurfing is still dangerous, bro. I'm out here showing houses, opening fucking gates and shit. What are you talking about?
That's funny.
Okay. Well, I again, where I was going with that was I want them to give themselves the freedom to do anything that seems cool.
Yeah.
To no longer need to fit into a mold or a system. Just think about what will actually make me happy. And when was the last time I was happy? Okay, can I replicate that?
Yeah.
What was I doing at that time? And can I replicate it?
Man,
and if you can, then build a life to feel that as often as possible.
I love that you seek happiness, man. You know, from the get-go, when you mentioned, you know, chasing dopamine, that seems to be a reoccurring theme with you, man, that you seek happiness, that happiness is your mission, that, you know, and not just, I like that using that word versus success or some bullshit, because success can be a very unhappy place. But when you're seeking happiness, when you're seeking joy, and just kind of like, you know, almost like that play, like that childhood, like just play. There's businesses that are like doing the podcast for us. Will and I were talking about this today. This is play for me, man. This is where, you know, despite all the shit we're figuring out, and it can be stressful for sure, it's play, man. Getting to talk to guys like you and talk about fucking chicks and shit, like, but also like spin it and you know, have the words of wisdom that you're dropping out, man. There is nothing more like joyful or playful that I care to be doing right now, and so few people forget that can be an actual mission.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I think that's important. I think, Donny, you were going to say that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. What you were saying before, you said you earned it.
Yeah.
Right?
You've earned it.
You just did a sacrifice. Now think about what the fuck makes you happy.
You keep punishing yourself. Yeah, you keep alienating and punishing yourself. And once you start realizing that you can go have a new mission, like now, man, that like we're helping people through these, you know, whether it's commercial, land, residential, we do all of it, right? And there's a lot of emotions that go into that. And look, man, I'm leading people. We're creating, you know, we're creating systems, and we're walking people through an unknown environment for them because they don't do it very often. And what I realized is like, hey, man, I'm still me. I'm still leading people. This is my battlefield of business, and I'm leading people. And so I still get fulfilled from where I was fulfilled with leadership, you know, in the military. I'm still getting fulfilled in the civilian sector from that. And it's almost like solving for X when you first learn algebra, right? And you're trying to teach your youngster, and they just don't get it. And you're like, fuck, if I could just get you to understand that civilian X, like this civilian sector over here, this still equals this. That can be found here. And just and then once they see it, like, fuck, you're like, yeah, motherfucker, I've been saying it, goddamn it. Like, you know, and that's how I felt when you and I were talking the other day, because I was sharing some of this. And you, like, your eyes were wide and you were clapping, and it's like I felt like you wanted to smack me out of happiness. Like, yeah. All right, motherfuckers, get it. Yeah, shit. X, motherfucker. Cool, right? Yeah. Like, it's true, man. And I know you were shedding, and I don't know if you want to speak to it quite yet. It might be premature, but I know you shed some light on where you kind of want Vet TV to go to, in addition to all of the entertainment, whether it's the coaching or the leadership side, and really where you want to bring some light with that. If you want to speak to it, great. But I think, you know, before we let you go, just shed some light on what's that next vision starting to look like for you as deep as you go into that. What are you forecasting with everything that you're doing? What does the near future look like for you, man?
I need to grow veteran television to the point where it doesn't need me. And so I need to make myself less and less valuable by hiring and training incredibly talented people to understand how to direct their talents and the talent of their teams to entertain this audience. Because we exist to serve a community of people, something that they cannot get anywhere else. And that requires a lot of focus and a lot of talented people focusing on how do we have to entertain them well enough that they are compelled to give us $5 a month. And that's a challenging thing in entertainment. And I have been already making myself less and less necessary to the business because we've developed such unbelievably talented people. They can develop a concept and then execute the entire fucking thing without me. That's insane, right? To be a writer-director, one of the most difficult jobs in the fucking world. Because going to your point, Eli, about the vision, you have to maintain the vision of that script throughout every single day of the production as things are are failing all around you. The ultimate mental challenge. And we all enjoy that process, even though it can be fucking exhausting. But we've got these talented people now. And so now I can step back into more producer role, and I just kind of provide guidance. They're already pitching good ideas. And I was like, oh, sick. Oh, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? Introduce them to somebody that I knew who was in this branch of the Air, or this MOS in the Air Force, connecting things. So now these connections are all, this infrastructure is being built to create scripted television for this community, and then to create movies. And the movies we want to bring to the theaters, get them distributed around military bases all over the country. And I want to work a deal with Lionsgate, because they do this for Tyler Perry. They only release Tyler Perry's films in black neighborhoods. So they are, they have good data on the audience who live near their theaters. So we could probably do the same thing. Get them to release a film, within all the theaters, within 15 miles of a military base. And then if that hits a certain threshold of sales, then they release it bigger. So that's totally possible. So that TV film division, I need to get that going in the next year or two. And then we're going to create a podcasting network. And so we're going to be recruiting podcasts and saying, hey guys, we're creating this network of podcasts that are focused on entertaining the military community. If you have a podcast that entertains another community, that might not be for this network. We are focused on entertaining this audience here and providing value to them in some way, whether it's in life coaching or if it's just comedy. But we just have to give them value. And then now this network of podcasts, all of you guys get way more listeners built off of our following and the following of our partners. Grunt Style and Black Rifle are partners of ours. And then I'm going to get some guys from both companies to own a part of that TV. Because this is for the community. And then very slowly, as more and more talented people come in, we've got the television divisions going big. I want to create a nonfiction department that all they do is make documentary type stuff, but it always has a Vet TV flair. And it's just, as long as what we make can't be found anywhere else, we'll find success giving this audience value for their money. So I got to build all of this. And that's going to take the next 3 to 4 years. And then after that, I want to take a year-long vacation, and I'm going to travel the world and make a reality show about traveling the world, with a focus of every episode we're going to a new country, and we're going to pick a village in this country that needs help. We're going to come in, meet with the village leadership, and we're going to say, we have $30,000 to devote to helping your village. Where should this money go? And then it becomes this conversation where we're learning about the village and how to help them. And then we leave with this $30,000 is being spent on this. I appoint someone to then lead that project. And then I go do adventures all throughout the country with a group of friends. And this is all a show. And at the end of the episode, we come back to see the accomplishment of that $30,000 in the village.
That's incredible.
And then we all celebrate together, and that's every episode. We travel the world doing that for a year, and then come back and start my family.
Now,
and then make it about my family.
With that being said, because I can tell you're recruiting me super hard. Okay, I can tell. I'm only going to come on board if you let me play that big tattooed chick that you were smashing when you were fucking thinking about me, homeboy. Hell yeah. Hey, you do that, you got yourself a deal.
Oh man, Donny, I'll tell you all the sweet spots on him, man. I know everything this guy likes.
Prude doesn't know. He's playing hard to get. Don't fucking listen to that guy. He still hasn't let me smash. He keeps talking all this married talk.
Hard to get, bro. Hard to get, man. I'm telling you. Just imagine how good. Use his visualization to imagine how good it's gonna be when it finally happens.
I'm gonna take it. If I'm visualizing it, it's probably forced. Is how this is gonna go. Probably. No, man. But how incredible is that, man? Just the thoughts that you have and how how intentional you are with what you're doing. And obviously, you know, we spoke the other day, however we can be of impact, whether it's teaching people and not only being an influence on the podcast, but maybe there's events where we're creating little boot camps and teaching guys how to actually run the business side of stuff. It's not just listening to the podcast, but it's like, yeah, man, here's some boot camps, some small group training on what this looks like, and just that continued training in addition to what you're going to find online, and just bringing these guys, obviously once COVID is done, but not only being able to listen and take some value, but then bringing guys together for camps of just, you know, learning how to execute some stuff, but then also having that camaraderie time of drinks or some fun time, but then focused on just getting fucking better and moving the needle as far as progressing after the military.
100%. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
We'll do all the things together.
100%.
All the things.
I'm your chick, apparently, bro. We're gonna be good. It'll be like a Shallow Hal episode or some bullshit.
Hey, we're doing it, man.
Yeah.
Well, Don,
You know what I want you to do? I want you to get connected to Irreverent Warriors, my nonprofit.
Okay.
Facebook or what?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Silky Psych?
Say that again.
Have you heard of the Silky Psych?
Yeah, actually, I was out in California not too long ago. Well, I guess it was maybe a couple years ago. With my buddies at Do Bastards All American Canteen, and some of those guys for the Silky stuff were there. I think we were doing. I can't remember if it was for Memorial Day or for the Marine Corps birthday, but I was out there, man, and did a road trip out there and was hanging out, and a lot of those guys showed up and were there. Yep, so very familiar.
Irreverent Warriors is the nonprofit that created and runs the Silky Psychs.
Got it. Yep.
Where's the best place for people to find that?
IrreverentWarriors.com.
Okay. He wants me to go there because he wants me in Silkies because he's trying to smash a big tattooed female in a movie. It wasn't for a nonprofit. It was for his motive there. I know where your brain's at.
Always an angle.
Fucking savage. Oh, you're a dog. I love it, man.
Shit.
Well, hey, Donny, what a pleasure, man. I know you've given us about 2 hours, and just again, I know I keep saying it, but what a pleasure. It would be just great, you know, whether we're out there in California and doing some stuff with you and growing projects and staying in touch. It would always be fun to just have you on every once in a while, man. Even if it's just twice a year, 3 times a year, and just let people kind of see the progression of everything that you're doing and just shed some light on that. And obviously, man, however we can help and bring some value to what you got going on, obviously, whatever you say, man, it's done. We're excited to help on that side. And just what a pleasure, man. Any last words you got for the listeners?
No, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it. This is great. I've been having a blast here, if you couldn't tell. So
yeah,
we'll do more stuff together.
Donny, what's the best way people can find you, man? Where are you most active? How can people get in touch with you?
I don't want them to.
You're like, I'm trying to scale back.
He's like,
man.
hey, be like Will and figure the fuck out. Google that shit. Google his name, figure out. Message him on a ton of platforms and throw a bunch of shit against the wall. See what sticks, bro. No, man. Hey, Donny, hang on for a quick second, man. We're gonna give the audience an outro, and then we're gonna go ahead and let this post, and then we'll be right. We'll still be on camera, but hang out for a quick sec, man. We'll chat with you right when we end this.
Find me on BetTV.
Right on.
For looking out for me, that's where I'm active. BetTV, download the app, Google, iPlay, Roku, all the shit, and you can see my dick. BetTV.
There we go. All right,
hump
guys.
day, everyone. Donny, hang out for a moment. We're gonna out this, but happy hump day. Hopefully, you guys got some value from this. If you do have questions and you smooge me the right way, maybe I got Donny's contact number. I don't know. Throw your best bit out.
Day 1 $0 podcast out.
Later.
Every song we drop it, a little whiskey on the tongue, it's a rum cut. I'ma sip it on down and turn it up. Southbound and we trailblazing, yeah, bud. And a posse dirty, filthy like a strip club. Dropping bombs out the gate, bringing big guns. Raw records, we the snake, we the A1. Speak up and we know where we came from. Welcome to the posse, let me hear you yell. Got a blanket on the game, long clutch, stay heated, we're treated. All the same, but exemptions are needed. Spit